Spellbound by Nora Roberts, Chapter 8. She'd vanished. Cal went after her almost immediately, but found no trace. He had rushed to the house, flinging open doors and calling her, then cursing her. Damn temperamental female, he decided. The fury spread through him. That she would tell him she loved him, then leave him before he even had a moment to examine his own heart. She expected too much, he thought angrily, wanted too much, assumed too much. He hurried out of the house, raced for the cliffs, but he didn't find her standing out on the rocks, staring out at the sea with the wind bellowing her hair. His voice echoed back to him emptily, infuriating him. Then he turned and stared at the scarred stone walls of the castle and knew. "All right, damn it," he muttered as he strode toward the ruins. "We're going to talk this through, straight. No magic, no lenses, no legends, no bullshit, just you and me." He stepped toward the arch and bumped into air that had gone solid. Stunned, he reached out, felt the shield he couldn't see. He couldn't see through it to the stony ground, the fire-scored walls, the tumble of rock, but the clear wall that blocked him was cold and solid. What kind of game is this? Eyes narrowed, he drove his shoulder against it, yielding nothing. Snarling, he circled the walls. "Brianna," he pounded the solidified air with his fist until they ached. "Let me in, goddammit. Let me pass." From the topmost turret, Brianna faced the sea. She heard him call for her and curse her. Oh, and oh, she wanted to answer, but her pride was gored, her power tethering, and her decision made. Perhaps she had made it during the sleepless night, curled against him, listening to him dream. Perhaps it had been made for her, eons before. She had been given only one single day with him, one single night. She knew, accepted it, that if she'd been given more, she might have broken her faith, let her fears and needs tumble out into her hands. She couldn't tell him that her whole life, even her soul, was lost if by the hour of midnight his heart remained unsettled toward her. Unless he vowed his love, accepted it without question, there was no hope. She had done all she could. Brianna turned her face to the wind, let it dry the tears that she was ashamed to have shed. Her charge would be protected, her lover spared, and the secrets of this place would die with her. For Avisar didn't know how strong was her will, didn't know that in the amulet she wore around her neck was a power of poison. If she should fail, her love not triumph, then she would end her life before she faced one of bondage. With Cal's voice battering the air, she closed her eyes, lifted her arms. She had only hours to gather her forces. She began to chant. Hundreds of feet below, Cal backed away, panting. What the hell was he doing, he asked himself, beating his head against the magic wall to get to a witch? How had his life become a fairy tale? Fairy tale or not, one thing was solid fact. Take a woman off and she sulks. Go on and sulk then. When you're ready to talk like civilized people, let me know. His mood black. He stalked back to the house. He needed to get out, he told himself, to lose himself in work for a while, to let both of them cool off. One day, he fumed. He'd had one day, and she expected him to turn his life around, pledges and dying love. The hell with that. She wasn't pushing him into anything he wasn't ready for. She could take her 1,000-year-old spell and stuff. He was a normal human being. A normal human being didn't go riding off into the sunset with witches at the drop of a hat. He shoved open the bedroom door, reached for his camera. Under it, folded neatly, was a gray sweater. He pulled his hand back and stared. That wasn't there an hour ago, he muttered. Damn it, that wasn't there. Generally he rubbed the material, soft as a cloud, the color of storms. He remembered vaguely something about a cloak and a charm and wondered if this was Brianna's modern-day equivalent. With a shrug, he pulled off his shirt and tried the sweater on. It fit as though it had been made for him. Of course it had, he realized. She'd spun the wool and dyed it and woven it. She'd known the length of his arms, the width of his chest. She'd known everything about him. He was tempted to yank it off and toss it aside. He was tired of his life, his mind being open to her when so much of hers was so closed to him. But as he started to remove the sweater, he thought he heard her voice whispering, "A gift. Only a gift." He lifted his head and looked into the mirror. His face was unshaven, his hair wild, his eyes reflecting the storm cloud color of the sweater. "The hell with it," he muttered, snatching up his camera and case, and he left the house. He wandered the hills for an hour, ran through roll after roll of film. Mockingbirds sang as he clambered over stone walls into fields where cows grazed on grass as green as emeralds. He saw farmers on tractors tending their land under a cloud-thickened sky, clothes flapping with whip snaps on a line, cats dozing in the dooryards in sunbeams. He wandered down a narrow dirt road where the hedgerows grew dark and thick. Through small breaks he spotted gardens with flowers and rainbows of achingly beautiful colors. A woman with a straw hat over her red hair knelt by a flower bed, tucking up weeds and singing of a soldier gone to war. She smiled at him, lifted her hand in a wave as he passed. He wandered near a small wood where leaves unfurled to welcome summer and a brook bubbling busily. The sun was straight up, the shadows short. Spending the morning in normal pursuits had settled his mood. He thought it was time to go back and see if Brianna had cooled down, perhaps try out the dark room she had equipped. A flash of white caught his eye, and he turned, then stared awestruck. A huge white stag stood at the edge of the leafy shadows, his blue eyes proud and wise. Keeping his movements slow and controlled, Cal raised his camera, then swore slightly when the stag lifted his massive head, whirled with impossible speed and grace, and bounded into the trees. No, I'm not missing that. With a quick glance at the ruins, which he'd always kept just in sight, Cal dived into the woods. He had hunted wildlife with his camera before, knew how to move quietly and swiftly. He followed the sounds of the stag crashing through the brush. A bird darted by, a black bullet with a ringed neck, and Cal leaped over the narrow brook, scudded to a damp bank, and dug in for the chase. Sun dappled through the leaves, dazzling his eyes, and sweat rolled down his back. Annoyed, he pushed the arms of the sweater up to his elbows and strained to listen. Now there was silence, complete and absolute. No breeze stirred, no bird sang. Frustrated, he shoved his hair out of his eyes, and his breath becoming labored in the sudden stifling heat. His throat was parchment dry, and thinking of the cold, clear water of the brook, he backtracked. The sun burned like a furnace to the sheltering leaves now. It surprised him that they didn't singe and curl under the onslaught. Desperate for relief, he pulled off the sweater, laid it on the ground beside him, and he knelt by the brook. He reached down to cup water in his hand and pulled back a cup of coffee. Do you good to get away for a few days, to change of scene? What? He stared down at the mug in his hand, then looked up at his mother's concerned face. Honey, are you all right? You've gone pale. Come sit down. Mom? Here now, he needs some water, not caffeine. Cal saw his father set down his fishing flies. Too much caffeine, if you ask me. Too many late nights in the dark room. You're wearing yourself out, Cal. He sipped water and tasted it. I shuddered. I had a dream. That's all right. Everybody has dreams. Don't worry. Don't think about them. We don't want you to think about them. No, I thought it wasn't like before, he thought. It was more than before. I went to Ireland. He took a deep breath and tried to clear his hazy brain. Desperately, he wanted to turn, rest his head against his mother's breast like a child. Did I go to Ireland? You haven't been out of New York in the last 2 months, slaving to get the exhibition ready. His father's brow creased. Cal saw the worry in his dad's eyes, that old baffled look of concern. You need a rest, boy. I'm not going crazy. Of course you're not. You're just imagining things. No, it's too real. There's a woman, Brianna. You've got a new girl and didn't tell us? Sylvia chuckled. That's what this is about. Was that relief in her voice, Cal wondered, or doubt? Brianna. That's an odd name, isn't it, John? Pretty, though, and old-fashioned. She's a witch. John chuckled heartily. They all are, son, each and every one. Don't you worry now. I need to get back. You need to sleep, John said, toying with the fly. Sleep and don't give her a thought. One woman's the same as another. She's only trying to trap you, remember? No. The fly, alive in his father's fingers. No, not his father's hand. Too narrow, too long. His father had workman's hands. Calloused, honest. No, Cal said again, as he scraped back his chair. He saw cold fury light his father's eyes. Sit down. The hell with you. Callan, don't you speak to your father in that tone. You're not real. I reject you. He was running down a narrow road before the hedgerows towered and pressed close. He was breathless, his heart hammering. His eyes were focused on the ruined walls of the castle high on the cliff and too far away. Brianna, she waits for you. The woman with the straw hat over her red hair looked up from her weeding and smiled sadly. She always has and always will. His side burned from cramping muscles, gasping for air. Cal pressed a hand against his pain. Who are you? She has a mother who loves her, a father who fears for her. Do you think that those who hold magic need family less than you? Have hearts less fragile, need less great? With a weary sigh she rose and walked toward him and stepped into the break in the hedge. Her eyes were green, he saw, and filled with worry, but the mouth with its seriousness smile was Brianna's. Your question what she is, and what she is bars you from giving your heart freely. Knowing this, and loving you, she has sent you away from danger and faces the night alone. Sent me where? How? Who are you? She's my child, the woman said, and I am helpless. The smile curved a little wider, almost helpless. Look to the clearing, Caleb Farrell, and take what is offered to you. My daughter waits. Without you, she dies this night. Dies? Terror gripped his belly. Am I too late? She only shook her head and faded back into air. He awoke, drenched with sweat, stretched out on the cool, damp grass of the bank, and the moon was rising in a dark sky. No! He stumbled to his feet and found the sweater clutched in his hand. I won't be too late. I can't be too late. He dragged the sweater over his head as he ran. Now the trees lashed and whipped by a wind that came from nowhere and howled like a man gone mad. They slashed at him, twined together like mesh to block his path with gnarled branches armed with thorns. He fought his way through, ignored the gash that sliced through the denim into flesh. Overhead, lightning cut like a broadsword and dimmed the glow of the full white moon. A lattice star. Hate rolled up inside him, fighting against the love he'd only just discovered. A lattice star would not win, if he had to die to prevent it. Brianna, wait for me, I love you. The stag stood before him, white as bone, his patient eyes focused. Cal rushed forward as it turned and leaped into the shadows. With only instinct to trust, he plunged into the dark to follow the trail. The ground trembled under his feet. Thorns ripped his clothes to tatters as he raced to keep that flash of white in sight. Then it was gone as he fell bleeding into a clearing where moonlight fought through the clouds to beam on a jet-black horse. Without hesitation, Callan accepted the impossible. Taking the reins, he vaulted into the saddle, his knees vicing as the stallion reared and trumpeted a battle cry. As he rode, he heard the snap of a cloak flying and felt the hilt of the sword gripped in his own hand.